Joey Porter Jr. was caught on Hard Knocks last night. Did you watch the last episode of Hard Knocks?
I haven't watched it in full, but when I found out we were listening to this, I went back and saw this clip specifically.
Yeah, it was there are a couple of good moments, not a ton of good moments, but there's a couple of good moments. You get the Mike Tomlin like he was not okay given that farewell speech. He was not. Last year I was told bits and pieces of the farewell speech, and a lot of it was like, guys, I'm not leaving, dude. I'm not going to Washington. I'm not going to the damn Chargers. Everybody could shut up about that because I'm not going anywhere, which you probably could have said that earlier in the offseason, but it's a whole other situation. This year was a lot of like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, this sucks, and this is not fun. And you could feel the emotion in it. Joey Porter Jr. is confronted by defensive backs coach Grady Brown, and I have to pull up the story. I messed up on the story. And and makes a very strong promise to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So Grady Brown says, quote, "We got to tighten up the my bads. Guys own their mistakes, and that's critical. That's important. But the mistakes can't happen. You got a blind confidence. You don't care who you got to cover. You don't care what the score is of the game. It's your time to lead the defense. It's your time to be the dude," which is phenomenal. Joey replies, "I'm ready to be a new player when I come in. I'm going to be a whole different me in the classroom, on the field. I'm just ready to bring that to the team, do as much as I can to get this championship." Joey Porter Jr. is one of a few names that I think had a down year, that I think we noticed had a down year and tried to defend. And, hey, still stay high on Joey Porter Jr. He's loaded with talent, even if he's not having the best season. But there are a bunch of them. Joey might top this list, okay? So two-parter for you. Your thoughts on Joey and his little speech there, and also Grady Brown just like making you kind of want to run through a wall for a quick second there. And who's on the top of your list? Who leads the campaign right now of guys who could bounce back in 2025, who you feel really passionately about, should have a strong 2025? You're not super worried about them.
Yeah, first and foremost on the Joey Porter stuff, I like hearing this from Joey because his first year he came out and he was really good. Now, the problem in this league is if you come out and you shock the world and you all of a sudden are great out of nowhere like he was, and I think it started with that game against Tennessee when he shut down DeAndre Hopkins, and he was able to do that kind of the rest of the season. And a lot of teams just simply said, all right, well, let's throw to Levi Wallace. Let's throw to Patrick Peterson. Let's not throw to Joey Porter Jr. because there's no answers for him right now. He's come into the league, and he's been very good off the bat. Teams had an entire offseason to scout that. Teams had a lot of tape to scout on Joey Porter Jr., and they adjusted. And they went after him in a big way late in the season, and it was rough. It was a bad second half of the year for Joey Porter Jr. You could classify it as a sophomore slump. I would like to look at that more as the league adjusted to Joey. Now he needs to punch back. He needs to adjust his game and show something new in year 3 because he has the talent. He has the ability. Just what worked in year 1 didn't work in year 2. Now you need to start adding tools to your tool belt. That's what the NFL is about because we've seen time and time again, every position, not just from cornerback, every position. Player comes in, he has a lot of success early, and all of a sudden, teams kind of catch up to him. What can you do after that to separate yourself again, to put yourself in a better position to be able to give them something new? I expect Joey Porter Jr. to be able to do that. I think that he has the right people in his ear. Obviously, his dad went through that in his career as well. So he has the right people in his ear in his personal life. I think he has the right people in his ear, including Grady Brown in his professional life. We all saw yesterday in that little clip why Grady Brown might be getting DC interviews this offseason. And I think that because of that, matched with the fact that this kid is immensely talented, I think he's going to bounce back. So I have a lot of faith in Joey. And honestly, you ask me my list, it's probably topped by Joey Porter Jr. But beyond that, I'm looking at Jaylen Warren and I'm looking at Broderick Jones. And I expect both of them to have a much better 2025. Jaylen Warren, I mean, for him, kid gloves are off this year. There's not going to be a Najee Harris. Unless something happens that we're not expecting, there's not going to be a Najee Harris. But there is going to be a Jaylen Warren, and it might be you and a rookie which means one thing, Jalen, it's your room. You are the leader. Take that with a lot of pride and take that as a challenge to not be a 500-yard running back next year, but be a 750, hopefully 1,000+ yard running back. I think the offensive line is going to be improved. And I think Jalen, especially if it's Jalen and Justin, I think that's going to put defenses in a bind. And I think that's going to open up opportunities for Jalen Warren to have a better season. Not to mention, hopefully, he doesn't have to deal with injuries like he did this year. As far as Broderick's concerned, I think I've echoed this sentiment enough on this show. Move him to the left, put him in his natural position, and I think he's going to have a much better year. That's what I'm expecting at him. So I'm expecting a better year for him, for Jalen, and for Joey. Those are the three that I'm looking at for next year.
All right, football fans, things are getting real. Whether your team has made it to the conference championship or not, there's still plenty of ways to enjoy the games. Get in on the action right now with my partners at DraftKings Sportsbooks. They're offering all new customers $200 in bonus bets instantly by just betting $5. Don't let this slip away. Download the DraftKings app now and sign up using our code ALLSTEELERS. The crown is yours. Stay in on the action and use your $200 in bonus bets on DraftKings same-game parlays for a shot at an even bigger payout. Combine multiple bets together from the same game. Love the thrill of live betting? DraftKings has got you covered. Bet live in-game progress right as they are happening, making watching the games that much more exciting. If sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry. You can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy and have the shot to win cash prizes. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use my promo code ALLSTEELERS and bet just $5 on any wager and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code ALLSTEELERS only at DraftKings Sportsbook. I love that. I love that list. I was not expecting Jalen or Broderick's name to come out of your mouth. I thought it was just going to be straight Joey Porter. Joey obviously tops the list. He's the easiest candidate to pick from. I mean, Joey's a dude who I think when it's all said and done, Joey walks out of here as like, hey, Joey's the guy that for a long time was a top 10 corner in the NFL. You know, for many years, Joey was doing it and he was at the top of this league and he was killing it. That's my expectations for Joey. He showed it in year one. He showed that he could do it. He showed it a lot of times in year two. You know, he had his really bad moments and some terrible moments in big games, but he still had his moments of like, oh, okay, Joey's still Joey, man. Like Joey's still got this. He's still super talented. And just like you said, he's got the people behind him. Like it's the TJ Watt thing. Why are you not worried about TJ after a down year? Because TJ and JJ Watt are going to go lay in lakes in Wisconsin and figure it out. That's what they're going to do. And Joey Porter Jr. is going to go home, and him and his dad and Mike Tomlin and guys like Corey Trice who are going to help. Guys like Minkah Fitzpatrick, guys like Grady Brown, guys like TA who you got to remember TA comes from the secondary. That's his specialty. And guys think he's a genius from what he could see back there. You got to think that he's got the people that he's going to figure this out. He's going to take the next step. He's going to do those things. I think that year two kind of needed to happen where it was like, okay, like Joey kind of got punched in the face this season. I expect him to bounce back. Like I expect him to learn from the mistakes that were adding up that I think we were looking at and avoiding as a rookie. He's a rookie. He's a rookie. He's a rookie. Nah, he's not a rookie anymore. You know, you can't be grabbing people. You can't be costing big moments in big games. Like that can't be a thing. And now we see that it can't be. And how can he work? Outside of that, I got two names as well. Pat Freiermuth, who I don't think had a terrible year, but I don't think he had the year many of us were expecting. I mean, I was pounding the table a year ago in March saying, extend Pat Freiermuth. Give him another contract because if you give him one more year, he's going to go off. And he didn't. He did not go off. I expected him to. I think a lot of that is Russ. I think a new quarterback who could use the middle of the field. Pat Freiermuth is a dog. Pat Freiermuth is a stud. He shows all the potential in the world when it comes to being a very, very good pass catching tight end. Every time the ball's in his hands, and I get it, late in the season, he had some drops and some bad moments. But a lot of the season, Pat Freiermuth was a guy that you could count on to make big things happen. I expect bigger things next season. The other one is a guy who didn't play this year. Roman Wilson. I expect to come onto the scene in a big way in 2025, because I expected him to come onto the scene in a decent way once he got to training camp this year and started coming onto the scene and showing what he could do. I think a year away from the team, he's going to rebound. He's going to come back. He's going to work hard. He's going to be ready for it. This is not Calvin Austin where you were injured and weren't able to be around the team. You were here. You were injured, but you weren't really. You got to practice. You got to be in meetings. You got to do all these things. You got to work in the facility. Calvin was not there for a lot of the season. He was rehabbing. I expect Roman to be a guy that comes out and makes a pretty big impact on the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2025. That's my expectation. Those are my two there. Pat Freiermuth and Roman Wilson.
Yeah, sensing a theme here. A lot of offensive weapons that we're talking about. Jalen and
yes.
Roman and Pat. Roman Wilson, though, I think answers a lot of the questions that we had a lot of this season. I mean, yes, they went out at the trade deadline and they got Mike Williams. That's not the type of wide receiver that I was pounding the table for. I said, you need somebody that's going to be able to get open quickly, because Russell Wilson does not have a lot of time. They went out and got Mike Williams. And yeah, when Mike Williams was out there, he worked. But they already had a guy like that in George Pickens. How many times did Russell Wilson have to get to his third, fourth progression? Because, well, guys just weren't open. How many times did we say, oh, well, Russell Wilson actually evaded the rush. He just needs somebody to turn around and come back to the ball. Roman Wilson did that very well in Michigan with J.J. McCarthy in 2023. So a lot of these holes in the Steelers offense could have been filled by a healthy and up to speed and ready to go Roman Wilson. We didn't get that in 2024. If you get that in 2025, it's almost like a free draft pick. It really is. Now, if it doesn't work out, then you're saying, man, we used a draft pick. Not only did we not get anything in year one, but he's far behind in year two. I just don't see that happening. I think part of the reason they wanted Roman Wilson was because they saw him as somebody who could morph into this offense very quickly. It didn't happen that way, but in year two, it has to. Like, you have no other option. You have to work out in year two, because if not, I'm not sure how many more chances you're going to get, because Calvin worked out. I mean, shoot, we were talking about what Russell Wilson had to say on the Pat McAfee show. He had a lot of positive things to say about Calvin Austin, called him the star of the offense this year. And I think when you're talking about breakout star, yeah, that fits. So I think if you're the Steelers in particular, if you're Roman Wilson, next year is a massive opportunity to come out and show that, hey, if I was available last year, I was exactly what the offense was missing.
And if he does, think about how big think about if the Pittsburgh Steelers, because they're going to operate without the thought of Roman Wilson. That's how they'll operate. Roman's here, but we need two guys. We need at least two guys. You go out and get those guys. Roman's just an extra. He could be your fourth wide receiver this season and then have a massive year. That's pretty ginormous for an offense that had literally nobody this past season outside of George Pickens and Calvin Austin when Russ could find him. That was how bad it was. I agree. I think they could be huge.